Well, howdy, compressed air friends. So, even if you are not a Solaire distributor, I would highly advise you to stay tuned, as you may find this subject interesting. So anybody who has been a Solaire distributor for any length of time has seen this compressor startup sheet. Pretty standard information that any OEM asks for when you start up a new machine. You know, who are you? Where's it going? Serial number, model number, all that kind of stuff. You got your pre-start checklist. You come over here and you check all the boxes as you go along for everything that's applicable to that compressor. And then of course they ask for some operating info on the new unit. Might ask for some other kind of ancillary info over here and on down the line. And you know, they don't take too long to fill out. They're pretty simple. The problem mainly that we run into is these are largely paper, which consists of, you know, having a stack of these printed off in the office ready to go. So techs can come in and grab them as they need them. But problem with that is techs run out, forget they ran out, go to do a startup, and uh-oh, no sheet. So, I mean, we took this and, you know, we emailed the electronic PDF form of this out to everybody, made sure everybody had it, made sure everybody knew how to fill it out on their phone or on their tablet or whatever. And that works okay, but I thought there's an easier way to do this. And so what I have come up with is I have a Microsoft form that walks you through all of this information. And when you hit the submit button, there's a bunch of magic that happens, and it takes all this, puts it into the fields in the PDF, and emails a copy back to the person who filled it out and to the appropriate people in the office to get this thing registered and ready to rock. So you don't need to worry about carrying sheets. You don't need to worry about knowing how to fill this thing out as a PDF on your device. All you have to do is click a web link and it walks you right through it. So this is actually going to kind of be a two-parter here. I'm going to actually show you guys. We'll fill out a compressor startup form together, and then I will show you where it emails back to me the finished product. And then over on YouTube, I will post the extended version where I'm actually going to pop the hood on this and show you guys exactly how the magic happens. Well, maybe not exactly, but pretty close to how the magic happens. So without further ado, let us get off of this and we will come to the tablet right here, and we will tap compressor startup form. Yes, thank you. Go away. Compressor startup. Now we're just going to fill in some nonsense here. Whoops. Why did it give me this? That's not what I wanted. I want this. So now you go away. Been having issues with that forms link here, so bear with me a moment. There we go. Now we're rocking. So customer name, let's just call it Integrity Farms. If you know, you know. Address 123 Main Street. Wrong way. City. South Park, Colorado. I don't know what the zip code is there. We'll just make something up. That looks good. Contact is Randy Marsh. Contact phone. I don't know. There, that looks good. Compressor model, well, it's a Sullair startup sheet, so we're not going to have a make, right? So we're going to go straight into a model. Let's say Randy bought a, he bought a big one. He bought an LS 160. And let's put a spiral valve on that bad boy. Serial number US 0125. Looks good. Startup date, we'll go ahead and pick today. Service tech performing startup. Rob the Magnificent. So now we get to our checklist portion here. Shipping damage, yeah, we checked for that. Obvious leaks, yeah, we checked for that. Motor leads are secure, oh yeah. Overload's good. Fan motor overload's good. Amps are good. Yeah. Connections are tight. Voltages are good. We are grounded. We bumped for direction of rotation. There is no grouting, so we're going to tap NA. Coupling alignment is NA. And tank lid bolts look good. All the other frame bolts look good. Lubricant level's good. Controller programming is correct. Now we get to where this form actually has a little bit of branching to it. So earlier I selected NA for coupling alignment and whatnot. So we're going to say this is a C-flange motor, yes. And so it's going to move right on with some questions. If I say no, this is not a C-flange motor, now it's going to start asking me for my parallel and angular readings. And it'll fill that information in as necessary. We're going to stick with this as a C-flange motor. Lubricant used is going to be Solube. Now we have our voltages. Nameplate amps of the motor, I don't know, 200. Full load amps, 200. 200. Shut up. 200. Pressure at which full load amps were taken, 125 psi. Unloaded amps, I don't know, 87 sounds good. A7, oops. A7, sump pressure when fully unloaded, let's say 29. Main motor service factor, 1.15. Motor overload size, I don't know, 220 amps, sounds good to me. Spiral valve operation is okay. Inlet valve is NA. Spiral valve, okay. Pressure switch is NA. Pressure discharge temp, 185. Ambient temp is 85. Compressor environment, it's good. And so again, we're going to get up against some branching here. So if I say this compressor is air-cooled, it's going to ask me air-cooled related questions. If I say this compressor is water-cooled, it's going to ask me water-cooled related questions. We're going to stick with air-cooled. Loaded line. Unloaded line. Exhaust vent, there is no venting, so we're going to call that NA. Is compressor VSD controlled? Again, we get up against some branching. Questions are going to change if I pick yes or no. This is a spiral valve machine, so we're going to pick no. Any modifications? Again, if I hit yes, it's going to ask me about them. I'm going to say no. And what is our application? We are in agriculture, right? Integrity Farms, we're growing weed. And installation notes. We're just going to say all looks good. No issues. All right, now when I hit submit, whoops, incoming voltage is coming from the utility. Missed a question, it made me go back and get it. See, that's the good thing about the form. All right, so now my response has been submitted. It usually takes a couple of minutes for this thing to run. So I'm gonna hop off here and I'll hop back on as soon as my email comes through here in about 2 minutes. All right, friends, so we are back. It took a little bit longer to run because I messed up and the file that it updates I had open so it wouldn't update it. So I had to go back in and close that out and then rerun it. And yeah, it was just a pain. But anyway, back in the saddle now. So here we have our email that comes in. Subject line automatically populates compressor startup sheet for, and then it grabs the customer name right there, which in this case is Tegrity Farms. And we have a little message here: submit the startup sheet to sell our warranty registration, retain a copy for our records. Now, if we go in and we open our PDF up here, we will see that all of our fields are populated with the information we gave it, all right? Serial number, model number, startup date, service tech, and then our checklist here. As we went through the form, basically any place we answered yes is going to get a check mark. The NA stuff is going to get an NA. Then as we come down here, any of those angular or parallel measurements, if they were applicable, would have ended up in here. And we have our lubricant used, silliness. I think that was supposed to be Solube, damn autocorrect. Incoming voltages, amps, all that good stuff. And then again, our operational checklist here for regulators, spiral valves, all that kind of stuff. Compressor environment, we said was good. And application, agriculture and alternate fuels, installation notes, all looks good, no issues. Had we answered yes to the question about modifications, it would have, that information would show up here, component manufacturer, all that kind of stuff. Had we answered yes to the VSD question, then it would have asked for this information, which shows up here. Same for if this was water cooled, then the air cooled information up here would be blank and all of the water cooled information here would be filled out. So yeah, this gets sent into the office and the appropriate people take care of it from there. Technicians don't need to worry about, do I have startup sheets? Do I have enough startup sheets? Did I forget to grab a startup sheet before I came to start this air compressor up? Yeah, it's all taken care of right here. It is literally a Weblink on the tablet now. So that's going to be it for the short version of this. So again, head over to YouTube if you want to see under the hood and see what makes this thing tick. Just another note as well, I do this for other companies as well on a freelance basis. You know, the company that I work for gets this kind of stuff just for, you know, just because I'm there and I can do it for them. But if this is something you're interested in, maybe not even a startup sheet, but just a similar application or something like this, I do freelance office automation type stuff like this all the time, whether you're using Microsoft Office or Google Workspace. They both pretty much work the same. I can work in either one. A whole process like this, which if you go to the YouTube link and watch the long form of this video, you'll see there's actually quite a bit going on behind this that makes this happen. This setup right here would probably run between $3,000 and $4,000. And then it's yours, you own it. There's, you don't have to pay me a monthly maintenance fee or any such thing like that. It's yours, you own it, and as long as nobody touches it, it will work until the end of time. What I'm going to do right now until the end of the year is I'm going to put all this kind of stuff on sale for half price. So whereas this setup right here would normally run you about between $3,000 and $4,000 through the end of the year, if you hit my DMs and we agree to work together, this is probably going to cost you somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000. And again, once it's done, you own it. I don't hold anything over your head or force you to pay me a maintenance fee or anything. It's a one-time development fee, and it's yours. You own it. And until you sign off and say you're satisfied with how it works, I don't get paid. So anyway, hit the DMs if you're interested in that. And yeah, head over to the YouTube channel and check out the long version of this. So we'll see you guys over there. All right, welcome back once again, friends. Over here on the YouTube channel now, and we are going to take a look at what it takes to get all this information from the Microsoft form that you saw me fill out on the tablet into this PDF and into the appropriate emails. So let me go ahead and close this out real quick. And we'll get to the appropriate screens here. So the first thing I needed to do, because Microsoft Office and Power Automate doesn't really have a good way of filling in a PDF natively, and I didn't want to have to pay for any extensions or anything like that. And so what I did is I just recreated the startup sheet onto a Excel spreadsheet, which was relatively easy to do. Trying to maintain the integrity of the spreadsheet, or of the PDF itself, with the the layout and whatnot could sometimes be a little challenging, but I mean, overall, I feel like I did a pretty decent job of mimicking that. So that was kind of step one, was to rebuild this in an Excel spreadsheet. Once I did that, then I had to go through and actually create the Microsoft form, which again is part of your Microsoft suite if you're paying for that. And what it really comes down to is each one of these fields right here that needs to be filled in is a question on the Microsoft form. And once we have done that, like once we have even the incoming voltage, L1, L2, L1, L3, L1, or L2, L3, L1, L3, that's 3 separate questions on the form. And on down the line through all this stuff, and you kind of have to work through in your head how these questions are going to be answered, whether it's going to be a more of a free form format, like entering voltage, whether it's an either or, like on the incoming voltage source. It's utility or generator. Those are the only options on the sheet, so those are the only options on the form. Or whether it's going to be more of a yes, no, NA type format. So then once you get all that figured out and you have your form built, let's go back into here. And I'm going to show you guys real quick. You get scrolled down to here, I'll find the first question right here. So where it asks if the motor is C-flanged. Well, when you're building the form, you have to just go ahead and put all of your questions in there, and you have to arrange them in such a way that it makes sense with your branching. So like right here, I said, is the motor C-flanged? And then the very next question, we're asking for parallel readings, angular readings, and all that. And then we go right to lubricant used. Well, What I didn't want to have happen was, as the technicians are filling this form out, if they say, is the motor C-flanged, and they go, well, yes. Well, I didn't want this stuff popping up, because that's just going to confuse people and it's a waste of time. So what I did here is I added some branching into here so that if they answer yes, it skips right over all that and goes to the question about lubricant used. If they say no, it is not C-flanged, it just goes to the next question. And it's the form is that way. Anytime you come to a branching question like that, you got to put a little bit of thought into it, and the form is deliberately set up so that you answer one way, you just go on to the next question, you answer another way, and it skips those questions and goes on, and it might go to another set of questions. And so if we come down here to, let me find it now real quick, because this is another interesting one, I think. Okay, so right here in the compressor cooling question, where we answer, is it air cooled or is it water cooled? Well, if we look at the branching on that, okay, air cooled, we're going to the next question, which is all about the loaded line and unloaded line and all that. Water cooled, we're going to go and we're going to start answering questions about the water cooling. But what you run into is, so let's say we hit air cooled, okay, we answer this question, and then all of a sudden we're looking at questions about water temperature and stuff. Well, once again, I didn't want that. So what I did is, on this very last question that has anything to do with the air cooled, on that, no matter which answer they give to that, it's going to skip over all the water questions and take them right to question number 69. So it's going to skip right over all that stuff, and it's going to go right down here to, is it VSD controlled? So as you're setting your form up, you have to kind of have that in mind and figure out how you're going to skip over all those kinds of things so as not to confuse the person with the form. But once you've got that, so once you've got your form set up now, you have to figure out, okay, how do we get the information from this form into this spreadsheet? And this is where Power Automate comes in. And let me just scroll on back up to the top. And I'm not going to show you guys all my magic here. So here in Power Automate, this is our flow trigger. This is an automated cloud flow in Power Automate. So this is our flow trigger right here. When a new response is submitted, and this is linked to that form over on the that form I just showed you guys. So that form is linked to this. So every time a new response is submitted on that form, we're going to gather the details. We are going to get that worksheet that I just had up, that startup worksheet, and we are going to go in and we are going to update every one of those fields one by one based on the answers from those forms. And this goes on and on and on and on and on. And if this were a different world, I would have ran this as a script, but security settings and things being what they are within my company, scripts, macros, all that kind of stuff is disabled. So I have to work with what I got here. But this is honestly, it looks like a lot, but it's not. You can do this pretty quickly. So anyway, so once we're done updating all that information, I built in a 10-second delay to allow all that to kind of catch up with itself. Once that 10-second delay expires, we grab that file content and we create a file in OneDrive that doesn't go anywhere. The save location for this file is just simply a dynamic blank. And the reason for that is I don't need it to go anywhere right at this point. So this is basically gathering all that content that just got entered into the spreadsheet. It's going to create a file out of it, and then it's going to convert that file to a PDF. And then on SharePoint, we're going to take that PDF and we are going to shove it into a temporary file on SharePoint. And the reason being is I'm going to then grab that file, attach it to this email. That email is going to, the body of that email is populated with that note you guys saw about, submit this to Solaire for warranty purposes, retain a copy for our record, blah, blah, blah. And so it's going to attach that PDF that was created and saved here. It grabs it, it attaches it to this email. That email then goes out to the people that I designate as recipients. One of those people is going to be, the program actually looks at the person who did the form, and it puts their email in as one of the recipients. It's a dynamic node. So it puts their email in as one of the recipients, and then it goes to a couple of static email addresses within the company to be filed and all that fun stuff. And then the very last thing we do is we delete the file we just created. And the reason for that is I found out the hard way that if you are out at a place that has 2 air compressors being started up, and you use the form and fill it out and do it for the 1 compressor, well, that file stays in that folder. And then when you go through and you do it again for the next air compressor, it tries to create a file with the same name. And when you are doing it through Power Automate, SharePoint is not smart enough to just put a -1 on the file name. It just throws an error and it stops right here. So the flow goes no further. So I thought, well, okay, like the email has already been sent. Everybody who needs this form already has it. And if, for whatever reason would we need to retrieve it, it's not very hard to retrieve it out of an email. So I thought, I'll just delete the file after I'm done with it. And that'll alleviate any further confusion on that. So that's kind of the automation that undergirds this thing. And last thing I will show you guys is on the spreadsheet itself right here. I normally keep sheet 2 hidden because when it creates the PDF, it's only going to grab the active sheet. And so I keep sheet 2 hidden. But what this is because of how this update rows function here, because of how this works, you can't just tell it to update this cell right here. So this is cell H15. You don't get to say, hey, put this information in H15. It works off of tables. And so what I've got back here on sheet 2 is I have some corresponding tables. And this is what actually gets filled in by Power Automate. And then if we come back to sheet 1, I will show you that when you look right here, this doesn't say Tegrity Farms. When you come up here to the bar, this is sheet 2D5. So whatever is in sheet 2D5 right here is going to get displayed right here. And then same thing with all these. That's sheet 2D6, sheet 2D7, sheet 2D8. So all of this, again, because you have to work in tables for Power Automate to put this stuff in. So I just made a bunch of tables that correspond to that information on the front page, and then programmatically put it all in there. Now, this is where it gets kind of neat. So this is our checklist here. This table right here is this. All right. But I didn't want to have a bunch of yeses and nos over here. So what I did is, if you look right here where this check mark is, that's not a check mark. That's a pretty good formula. So if sheet 2 D14 equals yes, which sheet 2 D14 is right here. So if that equals yes, we are going to display unit character 10,004, which is our little check mark. If it is no, we will display no. If it is NA, we will display NA. We really shouldn't ever see no over here. If we do, that's kind of a red flag. It should always either be a check mark or NA. But so yeah, that was just a little bit of fun on my part to say, yeah, let's put a check mark in here instead of a yes or a Y or something boring like that. I'm not sure what I did to that right there just now. I'm gonna have to fix that. But yeah, so as we come down, so some of these, like these for example, this is always going to be filled in, right? So my formula for that cell is pretty easy. It's always going to equal sheet 2 K9, always, no matter what. But if we come over here, sometimes these are going to be blank and they need to stay blank, because if you put just a straight up, like over here, just this straight up formula equals sheet 2 K9, well, if sheet 2 K9 is blank, that's going to display a 0. All right. So what I didn't want was to have a bunch of zeros here if this is not a water-cooled machine. I wanted these to stay blank. So what I had to do there was I had to put this formula in. So sheet 2 C34 is my table cell that corresponds with this, right? So if sheet 2 C34 equals blank, display blank, otherwise display sheet 2 C34. So what that does is that keeps that from displaying 0 if sheet 234 is blank. Same with all these. Any of these that could potentially be blank, they all have that same formula in there. Whereas these ones over here, which will presumably never be blank, they're just a straight up pass through, basically. Because they should never be blank. Is what that comes down to. So, yeah, just a little bit of information for your consideration there. But that's really the magic of it, man. It's just, you know, you recreate the form here in an Excel sheet. You create a corresponding Microsoft form that asks all the questions that you need dynamic content to fill in here, and then you just you make the flow to kind of bring it all together, and then yeah, we convert it and send it off, and that's it, man. That's kind of under the hood of it. As I said on LinkedIn, this is something I do as a side hustle for other small to medium-sized businesses that maybe don't have an IT guy on staff that can do this kind of stuff for them. This setup right here, typically between $3 and $4 grand probably, and then you own it, and there's no recurring payments to me after that. It's yours. And so through the end of the year, I'm putting all this stuff on sale, half price. So this setup right here would probably run you between $1,500 to $2 grand. And like I said, it's yours. There's no recurring fees. The project isn't done until you say it's done. So If I think it's working okay and you're like, well, I really want this, I really want that, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, or whatever, we will tweak this thing until you are happy with it, and then I get paid. So, yeah, that's it, man. That's the magic. It's all in Power Automate. This is all native stuff. I didn't have to pay for any custom plugins or anything like that in Power Automate. They do make plugins that you can buy that will simplify this conversion to PDF. But you know, this, I mean, what do we got? 1 second, 7 seconds, 4 seconds, 7 seconds, a half a second. So, I mean, what, 11, basically 20 seconds of your time versus, I don't know how much the plugins cost, but, you know, I'm quite happy with this. It's working for me quite well. So, I see no reason to pay for the plugin when it's all native to Power Automate. So that's it, man. Like I said, if this is something that interests you, or you have a similar application, or you know, you have an idea floating around in your head of man, it'd be nice if we could do such and such, hit me up, let's talk. I'm pretty honest about my skill level. If it's something I look at and go, oh man, I can't make that work or whatever, I mean, I'm not going to buffalo you. I'll just straight up tell you, yeah, I'm not sure I'm the guy for that job. I may tell you that, hey, you know what, that seems pretty interesting. I'm going to give it a try and maybe try a less complex version of that and see if I can get it to work. And then at that point, yeah, we'll come up with a price and all that. But, you know, I'm definitely not going to, I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver. I'm pretty honest with you about my skill set and what I can and can't do. And, so, I mean, there's no risk to you as far as, oh, that guy took my money and ran or whatever. Like, I mean, no. So anyway, that's it. Let me know if you like it, you don't like it. Drop your questions in the comments, drop your comments in the comments. That's it, man. See ya.